Well, hello again. This is Ian from the Malaysian Nomad, and today we are going to be doing a walk around at the Castillo de San Felipe de Barajas. It's a castle that is right in the middle of Cartagena, and it's probably the highest point in Cartagena. And this used to be the administration center, the military outpost. And not so. If you're going to be here, today is a hot day, and you're definitely going to be feeling it, the heat today. So that's why I'm pretty much covered up right now. Part of it is just that you got to have a face mask. But just a real quick turn around, and let me show you the view here. Spaniards came here to build this fort because they found riches in this country. Colombia, when you visit, you get to know that a lot of the gold, I think of some of the movies that you have seen and heard of, El Dorado, is actually in about Colombia. And all the riches that they have, the gold that they have, the emeralds, the gems, and everything that they have, it's in abundance. This country is just full of riches.
Porque cuando comenzó la construcción de este fuerte en el año 1656, el rey de España era Felipe IV. Y de Barajas, por otra razón, las dos islas, enfrente, la parte colonial, son dos islas.
So when the Spaniards came, they actually founded a city called Santa Marta, which is about 120 miles north of here. It's another coastal town. That was the first city that was founded by the Spaniards. And then they found Cartagena, which has a lot better water ports and for the ships to come in. Built in 1656, and it was built because there were two different factions here. One was that the local people would live and get some money. Let me turn this camera around so that way I'm kind of pointing around. It's actually Getsemani, which is on this side. And then there's the other island, which is on this side. And what it is that all the Spaniards will be living here, and the local Colombians will be living in Getsemani. So this whole place was built in order to provide administration and governance to this area for the two places. I'm going to get a farmer's tent going. You can see me rolling up my sleeve. Just a little quick update here. So one of the things that we found out is that this fort itself is actually filled with about 3 kilometers of tunnel underneath it. A lot of the tunnels are closed, but because of the pandemic. But there are a couple of tunnels that we can be visiting today, so we'll be checking it out. Stay tuned. So what had happened is that from there they actually introduced horses into the country. The locals here back then, the indigenous people, they have never seen horses before. It was introduced by the Spaniards when they came. And with that, in 1956, when they came, they traveled to a city called Cali, which is in the interior in the mountains. And if you know much about the Andean mountains, it's high, it's rocky. I mean, you got to travel through jungle and rocks and everything just to get to where it is. And Cali, it's another city that they have to travel into, and they managed to get there and establish a new city by 1565. And that is about 9 years after they just got into Cartagena. And then from there, 2 years later, they founded the capital city of Colombia, which is Bogota, in 1966. Or 68. I'm trying to remember the dates right now, but the history is just amazing. And one of the things that they found is that there were a lot of gold and riches of the country, gems and everything, that they are actually finding that, man, this is something that we can start to plunder. The Spaniards start to take the gold and plunder the whole country, and brought it back because of the routes that they had that has already been established. They came back through Cartagena, and Cartagena was a port city to bring back all of the gold of the city. So the port here was established to be a port of where they would take back all this gold, all this riches of the country back to Spain. Okay, with a different view here, and you can see behind me is an outpost of a corner. So when they first built this city, Cartagena, they had no idea of the riches of the country, but after a few years, when they've gone through the country, they have seen the entire riches, and they plundered all gold through this port. And the very first pirate that came into before that, they went back to Spain and they were talking about how rich this country is, and they were exhibiting all over around Spain and to show how beautiful and rich it is in this country. And eventually people hear about it, and one of the first few pirates of this country is actually the French. The French came, they heard about it, so they stayed at the port and literally stole everything. The first French that came was in 1569, and they got the riches from this country and took it back to France. The second pirate was also a French guy that came and stole everything a few years later. And then the English came, they heard about it as well. The English came in 1570, 73, 74, and literally stole everything. And because of the richness of this country and everything, it became a huge grabbing power of the place. And the English started to think to try to take this place altogether and to take it over from the Spaniards. So, you know, the reason this wall was built, and by the way, the wall, and I've talked a little bit about it in my past videos, it is about 9 miles of wall all over around, and it's just, number one, they built the wall because of the pirates that have come and they have tried to steal all this, so they start building wall to the coastal side of the city. The French figured it out and they decided, you know what, we're not going to come through the sea right now. We're going to come through Santa Marta, which is the first port, and by land they start invading from the south side, which is behind me, and through the jungles, and they start invading this. And the videos you're going to be seeing is that there are a lot of cannons that are facing to the south side, to the jungles, and they are aiming towards the English, the invaders from France, and they are trying to ward them off. And the last stronghold was that Spain had to hold on to was this place, and this place is called Castillo de San Felipe. It's really interesting that the design of this entire fort, how the placement of the cannons and the turrets and the snipers that they have. It was an early 1600 snipers that they have here, but it is ingenious, those things that are in place. Anyways, this is just an incredible place to see the ingenuity of the design of this fort and how they came about planning and understanding the warfare that they are fighting during this time. And when I'm looking at it, it's just a lot of this. There's a huge number of cannons that are pointing towards the south, and I just can't imagine what goes through the minds of the mind of the soldiers when they come through here and see this cannons pointing at them and just firing at them. Alrighty, well, I'm back now at home. I look at least decent right now with just trying to get away from the heat. It is hot today. It was really hot. Anyways, just to kind of wrap this up, this tour of the Fort Castillo de San Felipe, it is really worth it. If you get a chance to come to Cartagena, this is going to be something that you must do. The ticket is about 25,000 peso, which is about $8 per person. Unless you're a Colombian citizen that you can show a Colombian passport or an ID card, they pay about 20,000 pesos, which is not much less, about 650 per person. It is worthwhile if you can get an English guide, or unless you know Spanish, that would be great. To get a guide and to really walk through with you, explain the history behind Cartagena, you're going to learn a ton of what's going on in this city and how this city came about and established itself. So anyway, this is Ian again from the Malaysian Nomad, and thanks for joining me on this video. Go ahead and click on subscribe and the like button. I really appreciate that. I hope I earned that from you, and I'll be uploading more videos in days to come. You take care now.